Good morning. It is July 30th, and I hope you are all doing well who are watching this either on LinkedIn Live or on YouTube. I just want to touch on today the importance of allowing other people to find you. And I think the best way to do that now is through some kind of search that people might do on the internet to find you through Google or LinkedIn, etc. But I just want to share with you a quick story about yesterday and how I was really impressed with somebody, and I was hoping to find him on the internet so I could reach out to him. But alas, I could not find him. So there is a place in the Wisconsin Dells, just a little ways from where I live, that's famous for what they call their duck rides. So these are the original Wisconsin ducks, and these are old World War II ships that now have been retrofitted to do tours in the Wisconsin Dells. And they go both on land and on water and take you through some really cool areas. And I think the kids with me, and it was a really fun time. And I thought that the driver was really good. Like, he was very engaging. Like, first of all, he's 20 and he has to drive this 7-ton plus truck and through these meandering woods and through the water, while all at the same time actually keeping some kind of commentary going with those who are passengers on the duck. And not just stuff about, here's the history of the area, which is really fascinating, but also kind of make silly jokes and corny jokes that some were scripted and some I think he made up on his own. And it allowed him then to have this rapport with the audience that over time you feel like he really engenders some kind of, trust or goodwill toward him and that kind of stuff. And at a certain point in the tour, and this is later on in the tour, probably about 90% of the 60 minutes through, he stops and he says, hey, we have this stuff for sale. And one of these is this thing. And then these as well, which I'll go into in just a second. But they say, or he said specifically, these are something that we as the drivers buy with our own money. So this is our inventory. And then the way that we make the majority of our money is by selling these things to our passengers. And he then went through this sales pitch, basically like, this is what you get in the book. And then here are these cool postcards. And normally they would hand them out and people could look at them and, get to touch them and feel if they make sense to buy. But because of the COVID situation, they couldn't. So he had to sit in front and basically present to this boat of people. And he goes through the postcards and he says, here are the cool postcards and the history of them and some kind of picturesque stuff that you can show people, etc. And then at the very end, he goes, and by the way, I have my own postcard as well. So we as truck drivers are lucky enough to actually, have our own postcard, kind of like a baseball card back in the day. And I thought that was really cool. So I asked the kids that I was with to take up some money and give it to him and then give him a tip as well, because I thought he did a really great job. And I was thinking, man, it turns out that he goes to the university where I live. And I go, wow, I'd really love to, reach out to him and say, A, you did a great job. And B, I appreciate the set of skills that at age 20 you need to have to pull this off. Like, not only driving this huge machine, but also being engaging with the audience and then ultimately going into a sales pitch as well, right? Like, hey, if you like this, do you want to buy this? And as you may know, if you work in sales or if you've been in some kind of sales role before, like, that's really hard, right? Asking for the order is really hard, regardless of how confident you feel about your performance. So I go, all right, well, let me see if I can, find this guy, find out where he is. So fortunately, on the card, it actually has his first name and last name. And I won't share it just to not embarrass him. But I gave my 9-year-old my cell phone when we were driving home, and I said, go into LinkedIn and type in this name and try to find him. And he went in and he just couldn't find him. He tried different spellings of his first name and his last name. Turns out he has no LinkedIn profile. And as you guys know, when you go to any kind of performance, if you will, like with this guy, the driver of this duck, or you go into any kind of performance that back in the day when we used to go to concerts or see people on stage in a musical or a play, your enthusiasm wanes pretty quickly, right? And that's why oftentimes when a play or a musical is over or the end of a performance happens, in the case of him, we go, hey, that enthusiasm that you're feeling right now, that good feeling that you have from what you saw, this is a really good time to ask you for money, right? So, hey, don't you want the $70 Hamilton hoodie that you can feel good about and you can pull out of your closet and go, oh yeah, that's the time I saw Hamilton. I feel really good about it. So they know that there's a very opportune time to try to sell you something, but then that enthusiasm, because it wanes so quickly, they know that if they go 12 hours or 2 days afterward, the likelihood of you buying a elevated item price-wise starts to diminish. And so that same thing happened here as far as me wanting to help this kid out, if I could. I mean, if I could be so bold to say that. Maybe if I can just reach out to him and say, hey, I thought your performance, if you will, was great. I appreciated that you combined this skill with selling. And so since you go to the university here, if you ever need anything, maybe just reach out and I could maybe be of help if I could. But because he had no LinkedIn profile, there's no way that I can do that. There's no way that I can find him online. So my lesson, I think, for all of us is don't underestimate the power of the effect that you have on people, and make it easy for them to eventually seek you out. And if you're not keeping up with this whole electronic thing that we've been living in for quite a while now, it's really, I think, to your detriment. Because if you don't have that profile, like I'm not going to find this guy now, and I'm probably going to forget about him by tomorrow. But I want to share this story because I think that if you are out there more often than not and getting people to think about you more often than not, which, shameless plug, that's what this book is all about. Retoma, the return on top of mind awareness. It's not ROI. It's not return on investment. It's, are people thinking about you? And if they're thinking about you, can they avail themselves of where you are? So that's my lesson for today. Make sure that you're showing up where people can find you. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Stay safe out there, everybody. See ya.